one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pray with me. Lord, thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. Lord, we thank you for this country that we live in and this community and school district that we serve. We pray that you put your blessings on this school district and be with each and every board member tonight. Give us wisdom. Help us to always act in the best interest of the students and the faculty. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So we'll call this meeting to order. Note that we do have a quorum present with all board members, and the agenda was posted in a timely fashion. Next is to conduct a public hearing, comments on the 24-25 budget and proposed 24-25 tax rate.
Since there is no public, I'm going to tilt this around just a little bit so y'all can see it better perhaps. This PowerPoint is going to look very similar to what you've already seen twice leading up to this. The numbers have changed just slightly. On the general operating fund, increased revenue just a little. The state, with our tax rate sitting where it is, are now forecasting a higher amount for our state allotment. Actually, the amount that they have forecasted is much higher, not much higher, but it's somewhat higher than what I put in this budget. They're predicting our ADA a good bit ahead of what I have, and I would rather be more conservative and deal with it later than to be too aggressive and have to deal with that later. But anyway, the income is slightly higher. There's a couple of expense items that have changed, 2,000 or 3,000 changes in expenses, but now our net difference is $66,828, and that's about 20,000 more than what was earlier presented. Still have the large items to mention there at the bottom, the 80,000 for the retention stipend that we've paid every year for a while now. The band equipment budget of 20,000, the band trailer of 30, a building at the athletic fields for 50, and then the step 25 increase in our pay scales adds about 15 to our budget. So there's about 195,000 of what I consider to be kind of extra or extraordinary items built into the budget. Again, you'll see that left-hand column, just under 70% of our budget is consumed with payroll, and that's a little bit short of what most school districts have. Most districts are 70% or better of their budget is the payroll. Some as high as 75, but ours is just under 68%. And again, I pointed this out, I think nearly every time we look at this, but the instructional budget is more than 50%. Again, we're spending the bulk, the largest line item by far is instruction, and that's what we're here for, is for instruction. I think the next largest line item is 13, almost 14% for maintenance. And that's important too, that we keep our buildings and properties in good shape so they don't deteriorate. Any questions about this? I know it's kind of summary data, but if you have any questions, I'll try to address them. Okay, the next slide is our food service, our interest and sinking budget. The food service has not changed from previous presentations. You can see I have it budgeted to be pretty flat. We can't let it make any money because we have the maximum food service fund balance that TDA will allow us to have. Matter of fact, we're going to spend probably $10,000 in the next 60 days to get their fund balance back down to what TDA will allow. They'll only allow us to have a total of 3 months average expenses remaining in our food service fund balance, and we're a little bit ahead of that right now. So anyway, we've got to budget it pretty close. Interest and sinking, it's a little bit improved over what I presented earlier, again because some revenues are projected a little bit higher. Again, remember it's a negative, and that has to do with the 2023 bond and the fact that we are not yet going to receive all of the facilities allotment from the state for another year or so, and so we're going to have to bite the bullet on that. there's 300,000 budgeted into the bond that's been moved into this account to take care of that. But nevertheless, it's gonna run in the negative for next year. Yes, sir.
So on that food service, and them having a lit max of what you put in there, is there an ability like to allocate that for future construction, things we might need, or it's just whatever the balance is?
It's got to go.
Okay.
And if you look in your consent agenda page, I know I'm not supposed to really talk about consent agenda, but in the consent agenda page, the cafeteria comparison, the far right-hand column now shows you the excess that we've got. We're calculating that on a monthly basis. TDA kind of swallowed my hand because we had too much in there. And so I told them part of the remedy was I'd calculate on a monthly basis, but nevertheless, we still got some money there to spend. And it's just operated efficiently for ever since I've been here, so it's building up balance.
Thinking we might need to spend some money on the cafeteria here soon.
The only thing is there's not enough excess there to build the cafeteria. It'd be nice if there was, wouldn't it?
Well, like you said, equipment. Why could we?
Yeah, well, and we have bought some equipment. Before Miss Debbie retired, we bought some equipment in anticipation of going into the new one. We bought a large floor mixer, bought a couple of warming cabinets. We bought a juice display case that they use to sell the juice to the students as they come through the line. We bought quite a bit of equipment already, getting that number back down over the last 18 months, I guess, in anticipation that it will be equipment that will go in the new cafeteria. We didn't buy it just to.
Need a traveling food truck.
Lunches for some kids.
A snow cone truck.
What about providing some lunches for some kids or breakfast?
Well,
How much does that break down?
we would have to structure it to be able to do it. And of course we've had free meals, I guess, the last couple of years. And you're kind of limited really that you just about either have to buy equipment or you just have to structure your food service where it won't make money. And then on top of that, the state is telling us what we have to charge. You know, a month or so ago, we approved the prices of the cafeteria and the adult price, which is one I worry about, it went up 25 cents. And by the way, they're pretty decent meals for $5 even still. But we had to meet our TDA guidance on where our meal prices need to be. And so they're basically telling you what you have to charge, but then if you charge that amount and you're making a profit, you have to spend it on the other end to get rid of it.
So a $5 give or take.
Still a better problem to have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of all the problems, the best.
That's a whole lot better than, and most school districts do not have this problem. For one thing, most are not feeding out of one cafeteria like we're able to do. And then on top of that, they're just not operated as efficiently. I know a couple of school districts that have two cafeterias that are not operating any more volume than what we are, and they've got more staff in those two cafeterias, in each one of them. And so, we've been efficient. I feel like we're still going to be efficient with the change in management out there, but that's just something we're going to have to deal with. But again, it's a whole lot easier to deal with that than it is trying to put money in there to make up the difference.
More years we've done that.
Yeah, we did a little during the COVID year, not much.
I may not ask that right. To burn that 10,000, can you provide some free lunches to get that 10,000? Instead of buying equipment, let's buy some kids' meals. That would make-
That's not my call. That's not my call.
Well, and a large percentage of
I didn't know
them are
if it was
reduced already.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we've got to price and deal with everything pretty much the way TDA tells us to do it. I mean, we have to operate it, but then we have to operate it the way they tell us to operate it.
Yeah,
It's about what it comes down
It's
to.
designed to have a certain output, and by and large, most cafeterias are not in the black, and so it's just, it's a good problem. I'm saying, it's a great problem to have, because I promise you, I've been in schools before where we talked about $60,000, $70,000 at the end of every year. Just trying to put them back where they're supposed to be.
Okay, anything else before we move to the next slide? Okay. This next slide is basically the rate comparison that was in the ad that was in the newspaper. And you can see our rate, our total rate last year and this year is going to be the same. Our local revenue per student increases slightly because of the increased appraisals. And as a result, our state revenue decreases a little bit. State has a way of doing that. The more you collect locally, the less they give you at the state level. And then this last table, just to kind of give you an idea of how our budget will affect the people around us. I did a 3-year comparison. You can see 2 years ago, 22-23 tax year, the average market value of a residence was just over 91. We only had a 40,000 homestead exemption in that year. So the average taxable value was 51. Our tax rate was a little less than it is now. But the average tax on a home in our district was $516. Last year, with the 100,000 homestead exemption coming into play, you can see the market value at 103, taxable at just less than 4,000, and then the rate 1.0178, which is the same as this year, and the average tax on a home dropped to $39.50, significant decrease. This year, you might want to call it a significant increase. It's all created by the increase in appraisals. The average market value of a home now is $109.5. Again, take the 100 homestead exemption, gets you down to $9,500. Same tax rate. Tax on an average home in the district will be $96.71.
How you raise taxes without raising taxes.
Yes, yes. It is. And that's the way taxes have been raised for the last 10 years almost. And, there is some limits in the works, to limit appraisals, but nonetheless, ours went up this year. Any questions? Comments? There's no public comment.
Thank you, Tom.
That's it then.
So we need to do a call for public comments on this.
I'm assuming we don't have any public comments from the public?
All right. Communications,
None this month, sir.
consent agenda. We're gonna look at items A through E first. We have the minutes of the July 18 regular meeting, minutes of the August 6 special call meeting, financial report, renewal of the district's unemployment insurance, and the MOU with the City of Maud First Responders. Any board members, see any items they want pulled or discussed? Do I have a motion to approve items A through E as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Terry, have a second?
Second.
Second by Gat. All in favor, raise your right hand. Item F is River Valley Tractor. Any discussion on that item? Do I have a motion to approve item F as presented? Have a motion by Rusty, have a second?
Second.
Second by RJ. All in favor, raise your hand. It passes with 6-4, 1 abstention. All right. Next item is information items. Principal's report and athletic director's report.
Okay. Ms. Seegers Elementary, you're up first.
These are just a few of our things that we've done so far since school started back. First, I'm going to start with our enrollment. Our current enrollment at Maud Elementary is 207. We have 7 students enrolled in Redwater, 2 in the behavioral unit, and the other 5 in self-contained. We've had a great start coming back this year. I would like to highlight the popsicles with the principal. It was a great turnout. I had a great time getting to meet our students and the parents and just getting to know them. We had fun at in-service. Our teachers learned how to check their blood sugar. That was interesting. And I wish I had been able to video coach there because he was just about to pass out. He was almost in tears, crying. He did not want that needle stuck. But he got over it and he was like, oh, is that it? Our Meet the Teacher was so much fun. The teachers got into it. They did a fantastic job of getting the school ready for the kids and making it warm and inviting. And we took pictures of all the kids under the arch and had them developed and sent them home with the parents, and it was really neat. We've started our leadership, Miss Wilson and Miss Seals. They are continuing with the leadership group, and hopefully be able to send, also with the DI group, to send the DI again this year, like they did last year, on to the conferences to hopefully win state again and see where they go from there. Miss Pate has continued to bump her game up in her pre-K class. She is amazing. That lady is one of a kind. I go in there every day just to kind of see how the kids are doing, and she does a phenomenal job getting the little ones on track. And then we had our Way Award recipients, Miss Emily Hinton and Miss Christine Cooper from the high school. They got the $100 outstanding contribution to educational development. So that was really good. And then our last page, our amazing maintenance team and Dr. Seegers. They did a wonderful job coming up on Saturday and Sunday, taking the big black pylons, digging out underneath them and putting them down into the ground so that our students with disabilities and just all of our students can get over them and into the playground without falling over the big plastic, I guess that's what you call them, pylons? What do they call them?
Is that you? Is that you right there?
Yeah. He's in the
Well,
middle.
everybody else is sweating.
Shut up for the picture.
Hold the toolbox.
Some of our upcoming events, we have Grandparents' Day on September 6th. We've already had 225 things turned in for different grandparents coming. I know we have 208 kids, but that's multiple grandparents coming, so we are super excited. The elementary fall yearbook individual pictures will be on the 11th. Our homecoming pep rally on the 13th. And the first 6 weeks is also on the 13th. And then our teacher prep is on the 16th, and we're going to send home report cards on the 20th. Just a couple of things I'd like to share with you that have taken place since school started. So at the beginning of the school year, Maud went with a different dyslexia program. And this dyslexia program requires 45 minutes, 5 days a week for our kids to be seen. So looking at the schedule, after I found that out, looking at the schedule, I had to find time within the day for the kids to be able to be pulled out and not miss anything. Well, the previous schedule, they were missing parts of reading, they were missing parts of math, and mostly social studies and science. So I revamped our WIN time, which WIN stands for what I need. It's for the kids, what they need at that time. And I ended up having to take, the only place I could find to take the minutes were from the teachers' conference times. So they had an hour conference, and I took 15 minutes from that to be able to put in the WIN time, so that whenever our kids, for example, the dyslexia program, go to dyslexia, they're not missing out on anything else. They're not missing out on recess. They're not missing out on math, reading, instruction, because at this time, teachers are pulling the kids that they need to work with while these students go out and do the programs that they need to be in, like dyslexia, GT, the DI. They also, let's see, what else are we going out for? The library. So at that time, teachers have X amount of kids in their classroom, and then they're able to pull them back and give small group instruction, whether it's for something they didn't get in the math or in the reading time, they pull them back and talk to them at that time. Another had to do was revamp, well, that's the win time. Okay. So then we looked at 4th and 5th grade, we looked at our math results from last year. And we had half of our 4th graders not pass the STAR test. So whenever I looked at that, I said, okay, guys, we got to do something different here. And I talked to the teachers and listened to their concerns. And their big concern was that math is not given the necessary amount of time to do our curriculum for the kids to get it and have the time to do the small group instruction with them that goes with it. So got creative, and Mrs. Wilson, who teaches tech, is now going to teach our 5th grade math section. So she'll only teach the 5th graders math. And then our 4th grade math teacher that was teaching 4th and 5th, she will only teach 4th grade math now. What that does is it allows us to broaden the math time from 60 minutes to 90 minutes. And that gives the kids an additional 30 minutes that they were not getting during the math time to now be able to finish their independent practice, to ask the questions that she didn't have time to answer because it was so rushed. Because the curriculum, it takes 60 minutes to teach. That's just the teach part. That doesn't include the time that the kids need to work on their independent practice, to work on, to go over what is going to be done for homework that night, those types of things. And with them having this extra 30 minutes, now they're able to do that. I went that afternoon, we started this Monday, so this was yesterday, and I went down and I was talking to the kids like I do every day in the Colorado line, and I was saying, hey guys, what'd you learn today? Because that's what I ask them every day. Because I know whenever my kids came home and I asked that, they always said, I don't know, we didn't do anything. So anyway, with the kids, I asked them, I said, okay guys, what was the best part of your day? What'd you learn today? And I said, math. I had more time. It was fun. We were able to get through the lessons. So I knew whenever I talked to them and they said that we had done the right thing by the kids by giving them more math time, and that they're able to understand, have the time to process it and understand, and then ask questions while they're still in the math class with the math teacher, and to get the help that they need. I think that's it. So those are two huge things. I'll have one more, and then PLCs, we started those this year. A PLC is a professional learning community, and what that is I meet with teachers once a week during their conference time to go over their lesson plans, to go over data, and just talk through the pieces of what do you need, what can I do to help you, are there things that we can look at differently. I like to bounce ideas off of the teachers. So whenever they're talking about their lessons, I've been doing this for 26 years, so I'll throw in, hey, have you tried this? Or could you, what do you think would happen if you tried this? Just giving them different suggestions. We're gonna cut that back. Instead of doing it every week, I'm gonna do it every other week. That way that allows them more time with their conference. And I think that'll work for right now. That was a lot. Do y'all have any questions about any of it?
Sorry it's hot in here, but your headphones hot. So.
Oh, no, it's fine, because I'm about to go put on my jacket. I'm cold.
No, really.
Dang it, I lost that too.
Go push the thermostat up before you sit down.
Oh, wait,
Put it down, put it down. Push it down. You're running, but
Wait, it's on 64. Oh, you got it on heat. Don't put it on
I didn't
heat.
put it on heat.
Yeah, it's on heat.
It's not supposed to be.
Cool.
Well, it's working.
It is 95 degrees in here.
Y'all's probably laughing.
That's why.
Still got the coat.
Okay. There, it should kick on now, guys.
I'll check it out.
What you gonna do to us over here?
Trying to save that dollar.
Hey, we gotta be miserly sometime we can put money back in the budget. Ms. Earl?
I thought maybe it was just me.
No.
Right, y'all gotta tell me, 'cause I'm fixing to say something when she got through. Or JP too.
Well, I'm actually very cold-natured, and I'm even warm, so I knew something wasn't all right. So, but good evening, everyone. Just a couple little updates. Like Mrs. Seeger said, we've got our year started off and rolling really well over there on the secondary side of things. Our enrollment at this date is 231, which is up a little bit from last year. We do have 8 attending track 2, which is over at Redwater. So we're real excited about our numbers over there on the secondary side of things. Some things that we've had going on kind of to get the year started and everything. We completed our schedule changes and have taken care of all that, got all of our kids in our classes that they need. Our student council just hosted our first blood drive of the year. Their goal was 18 units. We received 18 units, so we met our goal. Very excited about that. Our middle school student council, they actually completed their sign-ups last week. Very excited because I always say, and I say this even with elementary leadership, you can't have too many leaders in a school. We have about 36 in our high school, and Ms. Hawkins told me as of yesterday when she was going through counting, she had a couple more that were supposed to bring their forms. We were up to 36 in our middle school for our student council. So very excited about the number that we have in there. We also, this past week, were able to start GT on the middle school side. That's something that we haven't been able to do as regularly, but we have Miss Wilson who does the DI. She's actually coming over Monday and Wednesday afternoon to work with our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. And they're going to try to compete in DI this year as well. So Destination Imagination, we're very excited. You have to have a team of 7. We actually have 7 students in GT in middle school. So really, really excited to have that program over there and have Miss Wilson actually available to come and work with our students. I stopped by this past Wednesday on their first day, and the students were real excited to get to go in there. Like I said, we've had GT, but not to this level, and they've seen, we had one who was on the DI team at elementary, and he's over there with us now, a 6th grader, so he was real pumped up to get to continue that, and had a little success in that last year, or a lot of success. So really, really glad to have that over there on the secondary side with our middle school this year. Switching over to academics and some things that we have started up over there. We did complete our dual credit registration this past week. Classes were actually supposed to start yesterday, but TC was a little behind, so the online classes are now going to start on September the 3rd. However, our face-to-face classes, so that's our welding with Mr. Bering and our learning frameworks with Mr. Fannin, those have already started. But I'm very pleased to tell you guys this. I counted this up this afternoon just to make sure that I was correct. We have 73 students in our high school taking dual credit classes this year, and they're taking 133 courses. And amongst those courses, they range from our dual credit welding, speech, biology, college algebra, learning frameworks, Comp 1, U.S. history, and government. So we are very, very excited about that. Our numbers have increased dramatically this semester. And one reason is because with us being a P-TECH school, we did bump down. So we do have freshmen taking dual credit classes this year. We actually have 14 of them. And that's our first year to actually allow freshmen to take dual credit classes. So we have that. And then we actually bumped down our Comp 1. And so we have our juniors and our seniors taking that this year. And our juniors will actually get to take another literature class next year. So they could have the ability to end up with 12 English hours after they finish, which would help them to be core complete. And in the state of Texas, if you're core complete, any institution that you go to that's a public institution, those credit hours will transfer towards your degree plan and not just have to go as an elective, which can save parents a lot of money. Trust me, I know that from my two. So very excited about our dual credit program and looking forward to getting that started and rolling with all of our online classes on Tuesday. We also, now that we have our schedule changes done and kind of have our kids where they need to be, we started our 45-45 tutoring hours, and that's for students who were unsuccessful on STAR test last year. We started that with middle school this year. They actually go in during tutorials. They have 1 day a week, so they still have their 30 minutes, 4 days a week to go outside and enjoy and stuff, but they don't have to go in tutoring somewhere else. And they go with Miss Shelley and they receive small group to one-on-one instruction to help them to kind of bridge any gaps that may be there, and also to help us to continue to track them and to provide them some supports. And our high school students will start that next week, and they'll actually start that with the teacher of record for that course. So that will help to get them prepared for the next level, or also if they have to do a retake. So that will take care of our tutoring. We did have our first round of progress reports. They were pulled and sent home yesterday. And so students who received a progress report, they'll actually be pulled in for a little bit of extra tutoring during that time as well. And teachers are gonna utilize that again to bridge any gaps. If students need a retest, we'll do some reteaching during that time. If students were absent, we can get them caught up just to make sure that our kids stay on track. If we see someone who, with the pace may be going a little bit quickly, we can slow down and can provide that one-on-one instruction or that small group. So that's what we're utilizing that tutoring time for. We're also utilizing the data that I showed you guys in July that Ms. Brower put together for our overall data, and also we have individual student progress measurements that show a 3-year longitudinal study for each student and each subject area. And so what we're doing is we're utilizing that data in our PLCs like Ms. Seegers was talking about, and we're progress tracking those students all the way through, seeing which directions they're trending, so that way if there is something that we need to provide, we provide it now, and we don't provide it later in the spring when things are hectic and the testing season is right upon us. So we did start, we actually already had our first English one before we ever started school, because we have a new high school English teacher, so we just wanted to make sure that we're spiraling the curriculum all the way through. So we had our first English one before we started, but we had our first science team meeting today. In those PLCs, we just talk about curriculum needs and again, how to spiral the curriculum, support our teachers, support our students, and any resources that our teachers need at this point. We're gonna have social studies tomorrow, and then we'll finish up this week with our math on Thursday. We actually have a little extra piece of our math. We have Miss Lisa Ellerman. She has been the secondary math specialist at Region 8 for many, many years. She actually is retiring this month. So she'll be off the month of September, and then she will actually be coming out 4 times a year, 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring, to work real closely to do some observation and some coaching with our math teachers. As you guys saw in our math scores, they're doing great, so that just provides them any extra supports or allow them to talk with her about anything that she sees that we can do even better to improve our curriculum and improve our instruction for our students. So we'll have that one on Thursday, and then we'll have our second English PLC next Wednesday. So we'll have all those. We're gonna have those meetings once every 3 to 4 weeks. With it being over there, you only have one time during the day that you can get together. So we're gonna start off with 3 to 4 weeks, and if we see we need more, then we'll adjust as needed. And our upcoming events, as you guys know, Ms. Seegers already alluded to, homecoming is September 13th. So that'll be a big week for us. We're gonna have our parade, we'll have the pep rally, we'll have all the fun activities, the games in the during the tutorial time. So students are really excited. That's a big week for us. And then Friday night, to me, fall starts when it's Friday night. Our band and our cheer and our football, everybody's traveling Friday night. So we're excited about heading down to Hawkins and playing our first real preseason game. So that's kind of what we've got right now on the secondary side of things. You guys have any questions or need me to clarify anything?
I had a couple questions.
Okay.
The data accumulated by each student, who monitors that? Is that a teacher monitor?
For the minutes, yes, actually Miss Shelley is the monitor of that, and she provides the tutoring for the middle school, and then I send her the list of high school, and what she does is every time they go in for tutoring, we actually created a tutoring schedule, and Miss Brandy and we have that on a Google Doc, and so the teachers can all see it, and then we make the announcement to the students so they know where they need to go in each day, and then Miss Shelley will document those minutes for us. So yes, good question. She will keep up with that, so we make sure we get the number of minutes that each student needs.
Do we still provide some classes for the nursing?
Yes, we do. We have she has 3 classes this year. So
How many students on it?
she has full classes, which her full load is 13 students, and she has full classes in all of them. And I'm real excited that she was able to do 3 classes this year, because that's a growing program for us. We have a lot of interest in healthcare over there. And so Nurse Nisi, she has 2 intro classes, and she has a medical terminology. And what that allows us to do is, intro to health sciences, they're introductory, and then they have medical terminology, and then they have pharmacology. And their senior year, they'll take anatomy and physiology, and that'll allow them to be a program of study completer in health sciences. And there will be an IBC test that they will take, a certification test at the end, that they can even have a certification in healthcare once they leave us. So that's in a couple of years, but that's our plan. We've already got it laid out. So that's something that we're growing in that area, and very excited, because like I said, we have a lot of students interested in healthcare. Yeah.
Got one recommendation.
Yes,
I
sir.
need one visual deal on attendance and stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, yes, I can do that.
All the other stuff, you
Okay.
done tonight, it's fine.
All
But
right,
I need the visual.
the visual, okay, we can
Blame
give
me.
you.
I told her she'd be fine getting that. No.
It's all right, I'll get you a visual next time, yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, anything else? Okay, thank you, guys.
Progress report, you got that one?
Can we count the cards as being the thing? The good piece?
I know we played a couple games. I think we've actually played pretty well in both of those for the boys and football team. Our girls team is doing extremely well. Tell me, how were they? Kayla, were you over at the volleyball?
No, sir, I can text and get an update, though.
The JV had just completed when I left, and they swept them in two.
So girls are doing extremely well, and so we're pleased to see. Other than that, let's go win on Friday night.
Next is item 8, amend the 23-24 budget.
Okay, Tommy, I'm gonna let you give a quick,
Okay.
that piece right there, just
I
to,
didn't know if you wanted to hear from me again or not.
well, figured you'd make more sense.
You have in front of you the suggested budget amendments, and the very first one, that first group up there, is to cover extra expenses that we have had in our food service. But we have those extra expenses because we're serving more meals. And so our income is up as well. So that entire entry, it increases expenses, but it also increases the revenue budget, which makes it bottom line neutral to the entire operation. Again, that's the result of serving more meals, more state reimbursement. We got considerably more state reimbursement, but the more meals you serve, obviously you've got more cost. And so we went over on the expense side, went well over on the income side. That's the first one. The second one, we have this every year. I think it's a little worse this year as we've come out of COVID. We have some salaries that are in function codes where they don't need to be, or well, they're in function codes where they're not being charged, I guess. And so we need to move some money around to balance out the function codes. Some salaries that we had in 199.11, which is instruction, we had considerably more in that than what we have expended. And then in a lot of the other areas, we've gone over budget. And that's the result of having people that we moved out of COVID and they moved into some of these other function areas, not into function 11. And so that's really just rebalancing all those expense accounts. That is increasing, about 8 or 10 expense accounts and decreasing a couple of expense accounts that we were way over budget in. And again, the effect of that is neutral to the bottom of our budget. We're decreasing expenses dollar for dollar for every expense that we're increasing in that entry. And then the last entry is a result of our SSA over at Redwater. We have incurred somewhat more. We've incurred about 50,000 more expenses over there than what we had budgeted. And so we're increasing that one line item, 50,000. Most of that comes from the fact that with the number of kiddos that we had and the needs of the kiddos that we've had over there, our staffing cost has gone up at Redwater. And so we're going to wind up paying out more for the year than what we had originally budgeted for the SSA over at Redwater. It still is such that we don't want to try to operate ourselves, even with that. But nevertheless, just we've had to add a couple of aides, a couple of instructional aides over there. I guess instructional behavioral aides, yeah.
One that's costing the most.
To help with some of the kiddos, and so that's going to make.
How many kids do we send to your just
I
had,
think
you got,
we've got about 15 over there,
you got 7 in elementary, and
Eight.
then you got 8,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
so 15 right now.
I got a quick question. I don't mean to interrupt. But on these salary things, the increase, do we pay for that 100% or is that split?
It depends on your
Or-
number of kids that go into the program. So
So
if it's,
a
if it's,
ratio.
if it's mod kids, we pay more. If it's Redwater kids, they pay more. We've had a considerable number of kids increase on special ed.
Okay.
We're paying based on the number of our kids.
Okay.
Basically what they're doing, and it's not exactly like this, I'm gonna oversimplify it a little bit than what it really is, but they just take the total cost, divide it by the total number of kids, and then
Then we pay per
we
student.
pay for our
Ship
kids.
out to whoever.
Now, it's not quite that simple, but that's basically what they're doing.
All right.
But anyway, that cost is gonna be somewhat greater than what we had originally budgeted. And we had budgeted some increase, but just not enough there. And then the other item in that entry, I think it's about 140,000. See, I'm doing all this, but anything in front of me. But anyway, that item, the big item is the construction over there. And we have expensed all of that to function 11, 19911. And at the advice of a lot of people that I've worked with today, Tess, our auditor, Pam, I've worked the phone. Anyway, we need to move it to function 53. And so basically I'm just taking the budget money out of 11 and putting it over to 53 to cover that construction. People don't think we need to book it in 11, and so we're not going to. We're going to move it. But that's what that is. That's just, and so that entry, as well with what we picked up from other expenses, it's a wash on the bottom line. You got a page and a half of entries that don't affect the net budget. The net budget is still, what was it, 80,000, I think.
85,
Just that.
949.
Yeah. So that's where we are.
And the big piece is, if you're wondering why, because it's kind of a wash. Anytime you go across functions, it takes board approval. So,
Right, yeah. Yeah, had we stayed, like, had it all just been within function 11, then I could just do that and wouldn't have to have your approval because you approved the budget for function 11 anyway, and I can just move it around. But because we're crossing functions with stuff, that takes board approval. Our auditors are gonna look to see that y'all approved before I went to moving that money around. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
So we need to take action here.
yes, sir. We need to approve that.
So we have a motion to amend the 23-24 budget.
So moved.
A motion and a second. All for RJ and, is it? We got Rusty and RJ, motion and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. I just blew my mind. It wasn't a very loud explosion either. All right, consider and adopt proposed 24-25 property tax rate and ordinance to set the tax rate for M&O of 0.7575 and INS of 0.2603.
Oh, before we do that, Belfer, we need to consider and approve the 24-25 budget.
No, that's what I did the amend. My bad. Consider and approve the 24-25 budget. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do you want me to talk anymore? I mean,
Yeah, it's up to them on that
Can you
one.
start over?
I can.
No, I think we're good.
I would like to hear Kayla's presentation again.
Let Miss Seeger do it again, now we got some air in here.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the 24-25 budget as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion, you have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Now, consider to adopt the proposed 24-25 property tax rate and ordinance to set the tax rate for M&O of 0.7575 and INS of 0.2603.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Second, all right, yeah, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Updates to cafeteria and band hall renovation projects.
Okay, trying to get it up. off without us. Jason, Robert, can y'all hear us okay?
Good evening.
Can y'all hear us?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so, Jason, Robert, I couldn't print out the stuff that y'all sent today. Me and the copy machine are at odds again. And so, but if you're gonna present that piece or talk through, they didn't get those documents in front of them. And so, anyway, I shared earlier that Jason and Robert have been reworking some pieces, have sent some new drawings out. And so they did get those pieces in the board packet from last week. And so, Jason and Robert, I'm gonna turn it over to y'all, let y'all talk to us on where we are in re-imaging and trying to move forward.
All right. Is the screen in position with the share on the screen?
So, holy cow, Robert, you're asking a question that.
Let me try and shoot the screen here first. To make sure.
Ms. Harold or Ms. Siggers, y'all
He should be able to hit you on your own now.
turn on options, turn off camera.
Will you
I need to be able to let them present.
share screen?
That one right there said present.
Let's present.
More options.
Who's gonna present, Jason?
Jason's gonna present.
See if you click on him.
Yeah, my share button, the little square with the arrow doesn't work.
It's because you're doing the chat. So you're gonna have to share it.
You don't get anything that comes up that says share. No.
Well, I really can't see that far either.
Go virtual, they say.
It's
Yeah,
better.
Share their screen. You should be able to share it, Robert.
Turn it on, turn it back on. There, she got it.
Share their.
Yeah, the share button just
Can
comes
you
on me. I can't share here for some reason. Let me see.
Firewalls.
Well, while we get that, Jason, I guess you can kind of download the file. So while you pull that up, just talk a little bit about the building. We have been looking at options to reduce costs on it. The last, I guess, to kind of catch everybody up to speed to where we are today. We've changed the structure. I think all of y'all know we took the storm shelter out of the project, so reduce costs there. We changed the structure now from load-bearing CMU to now it's a pre-engineered metal building structure. And we're looking at doing the majority of the building in a metal panel, so that it's somewhat the same aesthetic as the one that's built, but it's going to be a different metal panel. Also, will look different and have a little more of a polished look. Because I know the desire from the very beginning was to have this be kind of the front of the school or the front of the school district and the facing the street. We're looking at also adding some masonry at the bottom, so we will from that. May be added or maybe taken away depending on where we end up on the budget costs. And let's see, and we added which the mechanical system to be a split system so that we have similar to what's existing there in the cafeteria now, where we have essentially a condensing units outside, and we have some units up in a mezzanine inside the building. So it's a much less expensive design, and then also there's a change in the foundation since the building itself is a lighter weight structure. We can go with a less intense foundation, so there's some savings, cost savings there. We sent all of this. Thank you. So we sent all of this in like construction, and they're busy looking at some cost estimates now. We don't have those back yet, but I'll hand it over to you, Jason. Say that again. I'll hand it over to you just to go through the drawings. Floor plan. Okay, yeah, the floor plan has not changed very much from that original layout. We still have the entry vestibule and the stage, platform, ramp, cafeteria, kitchen, restrooms are all in the same area. But the major change with this one is going to be, again, it's going to be masonry brick down at the bottom and metal panel around the remainder of the building. Go back to that next slide.
Next slide.
Well, he should be able to change.
He's gonna
The
change.
computer kind of froze here for a second. we go.
Okay, would you quit that?
So this is going to be a northeast view entrance into the new building here. So again, metal panel roof, metal panels exterior with breakdown at the bottom. And then the other side, this is where the students will come in on the backside, just like we've always had it planned. We're just not going to do, just for some cost savings, we won't have the outdoor dining area. We'll still have the parking and loading area in the back. And one of the things to make this not look like so much of a metal building is, and these are just some that we want to come up with, is using metal panels that look something like this. It would give the building a little bit of a different look, obviously a newer look. So that's kind of what we're thinking here. Just kind of, and this would be very similar to the front, this one with the kind of yellowish green and brown that would look very much like the front of the cafetorium with the canopies and things like that. So the entry right there. Hey Jason, let's zoom in here. I think maybe too small for them to see the detail. Tough. Let me see if I can zoom in on this.
You don't like
There we go.
it?
That's again. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but it kind of helps everyone see the panels don't have the same like laid out panels like you would usually see. Different pattern on it. It gives the building a very unique look. Definitely would give Maud it'd be a different look for the whole city. So we just felt like this would be a little bit more playful and again very unique to this new building that the campus would get. So that metal panel profile is just a skin on the building. It's still a paint underneath, so we still have the cost efficiency of that structural system. The metal panel is a little bit of a different twist on it. There's a little bit of a premium, so if we still end up I guess in trouble with the budget and the cost, we can always go back to the metal panel that is a standard for that building. It's going to look more like the existing one. So. And then, want to look at an updated schedule here. So since we do already have a lot of this laid out, we're kind of going back just to design development and the start of construction documents. So if this is something that the board would like us to pursue and move forward with, we would have our 100% construction documents for this completed by the 1st of October. And then hand that off to Ideal Construction to rebid everything and get new numbers and a little bit probably better coverage at that time. And try to get that done just before Thanksgiving. So we're looking at about the first week of November. And then we would come back to the school board for approval of GMP for the November 21st board meeting.
And the big piece here, I think is important here, is looking at the redrawing and putting clean documents out that are specific to this project. So I think that's going to be a big piece to help get the better estimates from subcontractors in this and also from Ideal, because they've been seeing the old documents on the table and not getting a fresh look at the updates. And so that's been a piece that we're seeing in this as well.
We just never know what we're going to get.
So that to me is a big piece for getting us some better pricing and better options there. So questions, board, on where they are to date?
So on that panel, what gauge is it? You know what gauge the metal is?
Yeah, we haven't really looked at the gauge yet. It's going to be determined by the pre-engineered metal building company as what their standard is, and we would match that same gauge. I'm afraid if we go too thin, it's obviously going to get dented and everything by hail and rocks and other things.
Correct. Yeah, and the warranty on that type of material. You know, the thicker the gauge, the better the warranty.
Right. Yeah, and the profile that we're looking at is kind of like a square core region. try to limit as much of the flat panel as we can, because the flat panel tends to oil pan a little too much, so having more rigid ribs gives it more strength inherently as well.
Correct. So how does it attach to the building?
It's concealed fasteners. It's an upgrade from the typical metal building skin. The typical metal panel that goes on the pre-engineered metal building has exposed fasteners with washers on them, and that's the common. What we're proposing is a concealed fastener system, so you don't actually see the fasteners. They'll be hidden in the overlap point.
Yes. I don't have to worry about changing rubber washers in 20 years.
Yeah.
Energy efficiency.
This will meet the energy code. There's a liner system. It's called the Simple Saver, or one of several different names. The Simple Saver system. So there's an influence insulation and a mat insulation that goes in between all of the structural members, and it does meet the energy code.
Okay.
We use it at work, I like it. So they're gonna get us, like, we're going, like this, in the past, it's been, all right, well, we think it's going like this, so we don't ever know really what we get bidded. So he's gonna actually say, all right, here's a picture of it,
This is what we're sending
this is
out.
what we're gonna do.
We're sending that piece out and you'll get updates for them right there. That way it's, no guess.
Deal.
I should mention too, one of the updates that we did was lower the height of the building. We were limited previously by lower, because the ceiling in the cafeteria or the cafetorium we were afraid it was getting too low. So what we were proposing is reducing the roof about 10 feet. So reducing the height of the whole roof, which what we have to do in order to achieve that is remove the ceiling from the cafetorium. And so what we're left with is basically seeing the bottom of the insulation, and it's a white color, which we would be able to paint it with a black color. But what you're seeing at the bottom of the insulation, and it essentially looks just like the land ceiling that's in your room right there. So if you look up, it looks something like that, but it's going to be much higher. And it also has some acoustical value as well, which is what we want in the cafeteria. It's kind of deadening the sound in there a little bit, not reverberating.
Is there, we hope it's like this.
Well,
So
it'll be
like
the
this,
big tile that's gonna look similar to this. It's just like,
You said it'd be 2 feet down from the ceiling.
Okay. 'Cause how tall?
I think they dropped the ceiling too far, so they draw some costs down, because it was so tall.
What size of the wall?
Jason, are we looking at 16-foot walls now?
Correct.
If they were 18.
I'm looking at you that way.
So if that timeline looks pretty good as far as moving forward and
As
being,
fast as we can do it.
well, we're still drawing pretty good on the interest rate.
That's all.
So November board meeting, we should have guaranteed pricing.
We're shooting for that, yes, sir.
And we're still shooting ideas.
Well, giving them a shot to do the right thing, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah, that was my question. I mean, it's an ideal one. I thought we got away from it.
So that's gonna be November, we can have ideas. At that point.
Did Ideal start, have something, if they get them that by October, or whatever they say, Ideal does confirm that they'll have this something.
yes, I talked with Hunter yesterday. They were able to start moving pretty fast on getting stuff together for a big package.
Well, Jason, Robert, I appreciate y'all updating us and joining with us, and we'll visit with y'all soon.
And we appreciate you guys letting us jump on and talk about it, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Later. See you later. Thank you.
And one of the pieces that, looking at, because we've been back and forth with
How much
Ideal.
did they send you?
Do what?
How much in that documentation did they send you?
On that piece there, all there.
And then,
No.
Did you get that email?
No, they sent me that piece right there.
Now, they sent me some big packages in there that I said, we're not even gonna talk about that because it wasn't realistic. So, and I told Jason that before, that we're not realistic. Then he told me, he said, well, our estimators use some of the old stuff from the first time just to estimate. I'm like, so we're not gonna talk about that because it's not realistic. So just moving forward, so next, I'm gonna let you, unless there's anything else we don't talk about, we'll move on next time.
Any other questions on the cafeteria band hall renovation? Move on to item 12, consider and possible approval of owner's building resource for pre-construction consultation.
And Robert wanted to be here tonight. Unfortunately, his schedule was hard on him today. He said, I'm the only person that has ever seen him on Google Meet in Milford. Let's see if he's,
Let him in, he's gonna admit him.
where do you see that?
Model run.
For the number one is.
We're going to hire RJ to run the
Oh, I can't see.
screen.
I went to the eye doctor yesterday, but I can't see.
It was right there.
It's the same system.
Oh, is it?
Robert, can you hear us?
I got you.
Hey, let me give a quick introduction to the group.
Hold on, we got some news happening over here.
I'm not real sure what's
Look
going
out,
on,
man.
Robert, but
Hold on, we got a lot of things happening.
One too many.
RJ's driving, so
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to happen.
There we go.
But just a kind of quick introduction. I met Robert several years ago. Became a principal of another school district that had a bond program that was rolling. He worked with the superintendent on that job. Had a cafeteria that was way out of whack. The numbers kept coming back. I think you said 1.6 over at that time, and that was a considerable time ago. But he was able to work with the construction company, the architect, and the school district and get that project back in where it was supposed to be. He also worked with me in Woodsboro on the pre-construction pieces for the Woodsboro bond, so that we had those pieces put together. And so, I've known Robert off and on for a number of years, and basically the superintendent that I was mentored under. So if you find yourself in a spot that we're having difficulty and can't seem to get everyone to G-Haul right, he said you call Robert and let the magic start. So I'm gonna let that introduction go there, Robert, and give you a little chance to talk about your firm and the services y'all offer to schools, and how you can bring a lot of value into our existing project.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I apologize for not making the trip up there this evening. I had the best laid plans, but the day kind of got out of control. We're an interesting group of folks. We're architects, we're engineers, we're construction folks. And we made a conscious decision 30 years ago to not design it and not build it. We want to be a representative, a resource, if you will, to school districts. And so over the last 30 years, we've planned and managed close to, I guess, about $4.5 billion worth of projects. That's as big as Fort Worth ISD and 121 projects, and as small as Nordheim ISD with 85 students in one building. We just try to visit with folks, and if we have something we can bring to the table to add value to your program or assist you through the maze and getting things done, that's what we like to do. We bring our collective experiences, our collective mishaps, and if we haven't stepped in it at least once, I'd be surprised. So we've got a lot of scars and a lot of trophies, I think, and successes around the state. And when Dr. Seegers brought me in, I asked for some information. He shared that with me. We went through it. And I have to be honest, most of my team is pretty puzzled with the challenges you guys have been facing up there. But I think we've got some options and some experience that might bring some value back and maybe put you in a posture to give the voters what you promised them, not just with the cafeteria, but maybe with the renovation or
addressing your bank hall challenges as well. But we're just a resource. We work to fill the holes in the dike. We're a team player. We're not here to throw darts at anybody or drag anybody under the bus. It's really a matter of kind of taking a look at what you have and see if we can't bring a solution that makes everybody look good, especially you guys, and makes your community proud of what you can accomplish with the money they gave you to work with.
So just as an example, in our last meeting, we looked at, our drawings came in, and again, the architects have done a really good job of trying to, scale back some structural pieces in this that generate the most bang for our buck. But one of the pieces Robert picked up on was in the kitchen. I said, yes, we can do this. He said, but there's a good chance that you're going to be cussing somebody in 5 to 10 years because, what was that panel called, Robert? The kitchen panel?
Say it again, Doc.
What was the kitchen panel called that originally we looked at for our wall coverings in the kitchen?
Yeah, they came back at us with FRP, which is the cheesy sort of cheap, the covering you see in the restaurants at the truck stops. They scaled it way back. I think we're going to try to find something in the middle between what you guys originally had seen and what they're trying to scale down to now. From our perspective, our goal would be to provide you with a nice 40-year building, something that's going to be easy to maintain, something that'll stand up to not just the students in the area, but if you guys use this for community gatherings, that type of thing, something that'll hold up, something that'll serve not just the school district, but the community. And I would hate to go in from a cheap approach just for the sake of trying to get to the dollars, I guess. But the things that I'm seeing coming out, or the things that I've seen with respect to your project are just counterintuitive to everything we're dealing with around the state. We're working everywhere from the Metroplex to far west Texas to Austin to Houston. And the square foot numbers and unit costs that you guys have been presented with are beyond anything we've seen. And I'm comparing that to what we've seen in Falls City or Iran, where bus drivers are quitting because they can go drive a water truck for $80,000 a year in the oil field out there. So workforce is tight, materials are tight, and construction costs are inflated. They're coming down a little bit, but it doesn't equate to what we've seen in other parts of the state. And I don't think you guys are in some type of anomaly down there. You're within striking distance of Tyler, Texarkana, for that matter, even the Metroplex. I think there's a lot of good subs, contractors that would bring some value to this, but I pledge to Dr. Seegers to try to work with your current team and see if we can't come up with some solutions. And so far we're headed in the right direction with the design. We just got to determine whether or not Ideal can bring some value to you guys.
I agree.
So that's kind of a general introduction. Again, I do feel like Robert and his team add a lot of value, and with a phone call, you can pick up and say, "I just want to know reasonable or not reasonable," because that's something that will help me as we navigate. Because honestly, we can talk curriculum and we can talk those pieces. I can talk you under the bus, but when we start talking about concrete, metal, and drawings and stuff like that, that's not my forte. And so I want to bring someone I think that can bring some value to us, and again, give back to the community of Maud what was the intention of when this thing started in 2023, and put something out there we'd be proud of.
Would he know what construction costs per square foot should be on new plus renovation?
He can give you that anytime. We were talking about that before, an hour before meeting
He's
started.
got to know a happy medium across the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's
So,
So Robert, quick question while they're discussing, if we hire you, we're your customer, right? You represent us and only our best interest. You're not any kind of a relationship with the employment company or anything like that, right? You're our agent. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm having hard time understanding, but did you say we represent you guys?
Yes, and
Yes, sir, we represent you, but not in the sense that we want to create a confrontation with any of the other team members. I think, the last couple of calls we've had with Ideal, and your architect were productive. One of the things that confused us was the really nominal drop from your original bids in April to the ones that they presented to you most recently. And I was really disappointed with the coverage on the subcontractors. Well, it turns out they actually didn't rebid the job. They went back to the top one or two subcontractors that had bid the first time and sort of negotiated based on the assumed change in scope of work. And so that was a huge clarification for us. That helped make sense of why the number didn't come down, but also the drawings were extremely confusing. There were 6 addendas sent out. A lot of red lines, a lot of clouds, and I think there was a bit of fatigue in the market, to be honest with you, on that project. And so we made some recommendations on some changes in materials, some changes in approach, but still giving you guys, not compromising the integrity, the scale, the size, the ability to have this as a community assembly area for your band or whoever to present to your staff or community. But just kind of changing the approach. And they honestly, from the time they did your first bid to the second bid, it was difficult to tell whether they took any of the storm shelter structure out of that thing. And the numbers reflected that when they came through. But I still think you got a limited coverage. I don't think you got as many subcontractors bidding the project as you should. And I don't want to speculate on the reason for that, but from visiting with some of my PMs, have buddies up there that, actually one of my PMs from Linden, he's got a couple buddies up there that know the market, and they're pretty confident they can get pretty competitive down there. But the $600 a foot that you're seeing right now is beyond anything we can imagine. And the way we've scaled this building down, we're well under $400 a foot in my mind, maybe even close to $300 a foot. I don't want to go that cheap on you guys, but I think we ought to be able to get this project in under $4 million without too much of a fight. And that may require a change in direction. I may come back to you after the next couple of meetings and say, I think we need to shake hands and go a different direction from Ideal. They're still welcome to be competitive, but we'll change some funding on this thing and put it out for competitive seal proposals. There's a lot of contractors up there in that neck of the woods that they're just prime for a $3, $4, $5 million project. And frankly, this project doesn't, I don't think, necessarily warrant the seal risk approach. But I do think making it a little more competitive will get this project where it needs to be. And we'll look at that as we go through it. That's my goal, is to represent you guys and try to bring some value to this, so you can hold your heads up high that you gave the community what they asked for, and hopefully have a little money left over to go back and address some of the deficiencies in the band hall, clean that up a little bit.
Any other questions?
Spend a little money up front, save some money on the back end.
get a lot of money on that.
Oh, just have a lot of money.
All right, Robert, I'll holler at you, okay?
All right, gentlemen, I appreciate it. Good to meet you. Look forward to seeing you in the near future. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Where'd he say he was from?
He's from Fremont, just as, like Waco area. So, like I said, he's the one that when it first, remember last year, when it first went from 4.2 to 7, the one I called the first time, I said, what are you seeing on the market value? I said, Doc, I'm seeing 300 to, 350. Every once in a while we'll get a 4, but it's just a luxury suite. And I said, well, we got the storm shelter piece, because they are south, and the storm shelter piece is up here. And he said, guys, he told me today, he said, we're doing a job in Kennedale with a storm shelter. It's in that same path y'all. He said, we're doing a whole, like a considerably bigger new build and a remodel. And he said, we're nowhere seeing near what has been priced to you guys. And that's with a storm shelter.
I really think it comes down to subcontractors. I think all subcontractors in Texas County, because everything's being grown, they can't get them. So they're having to either run them down here and put them up in housing, and they're away from home, so everything's an upcharge, everything. I mean, I'm sure you believe that. If you don't really get somebody local here that knows the people around here, those contractors will not come to work for you. They're too busy with other projects. The good ones, isn't it?
Anyway, any other questions on him? I'll make a recommendation to you to put that to the board for bringing Robert in for consulting.
Think this will help us give the voters what they voted on?
I do.
We'll,
I really think it's gonna take this to get us off the perpetual cycle of, you know.
The price in the email, was that about
Sir?
that price in the email, was that about a ballpark price, or do we even know
You talking about his price?
I would say Robert's probably just talking right now, but but he told me earlier, he said 350, 370 a foot should be typical, you know what I'm saying?
that? His console price.
Oh, 14,000.
Yeah, that's what.
So, yeah, it's not to exceed 14,000
Yeah,
in the
no.
construction document side. And so, so that's the most we'd be out up to if we decide to keep him on going out after that, or that's the decision of the board at that point. You know what I'm saying? But it'll at least get us off the perpetual cycle of drawing. This is what's going on, coming back and forth. So, someone makes sense of the
I think
documents.
it's money well spent.
let's get this through to we have good pricing and we're ready to go.
Yes, sir. And then at that point, we
He'll
want
help
to.
us make better decisions.
I feel good about it. I don't feel good, it's still not ideal at the end of it. I don't think ideal's gonna come around, but,
Well, because I wanted to give them a shot to do the right thing, because somebody brought them in, and they've got a lot of work, but again, we're not gonna, I told Hunter, that we're not gonna go with it just because it's fair. If you come in and you've got the right price and you're right, then you get a chance to be right. Or if not, then we're gonna change the front end, put it back out, and do consider competitive seal proposals. And at that point too, Robert would be a critical asset for helping do that piece right there.
Any other questions, Robert? Do we have a motion to approve owner's building resource for pre-construction consultation?
Make a motion.
Motion by Gap, second by Terry. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Consider and approve custodial services contract with Redbird Cleaning Services for 24-25 school year, $133,920.
Okay, this is a continuation of where we were from last year, and it's just been trying to get custodial services for the schools. If you remember last year, we lost 3 custodians from the time I took over in July till Christmas. Now, I don't think I did anything to run anybody off. And so, but it's just other job opportunities, other places they went to work, someone went on started a business. And so trying to keep those pieces. We brought Redbird in, they worked with elementary. We struggled, honestly, in the spring, getting a stable staff through there. Finally got a stable staff. We kept them on during the summer just so we didn't lose those people. They cleaned around other pieces. They did a great job cleaning the field house up, the weight room. If you've been through there from where it was at the end of school till when school started, it's a substantial difference. I don't think you'll catch a disease walking in there anymore. And so, and then looking at where we were, the opportunity was there to move one of our staff members into the cafeteria to work in there with Brandy and her team, and open up our middle school to Redbird Cleaning. The whole piece we was trying to do was get it to where we're doing the majority of our cleaning after hours, so that students and when our teachers and students come in the morning, the building's clean, and having to start with no problems. So that's been the goal. The middle school is probably as big a square footage or slightly bigger than the elementary when you put it all together. And so that's the price tag piece right there, the difference. But he was willing to work with us and gave us a slightly better rate on the middle school than the elementary school. And so the purpose of bringing it to you, obviously, is because we're well over the $50,000 threshold for the year for services. He is a tips vendor, so we do get money back on that piece right there as well at the end of the year. But I do feel like the work that's been done with the new members, they took back over in August, and honestly, in my opinion, I think our cleanliness has been substantially better in those buildings. At the same time, I think we've improved in our other existing facilities as well. And so just our people have gotten better, during this process as well. So I feel like it's an added value to us and something that our staff can be proud of, and something to take good care of our kids as we move forward.
It did look good last time.
Tell you what, it looked like glass walking through the halls lately. I mean, it's looking pretty good, and I've been up many times at night, 9:30, and still they're sweeping outside, dusting cobwebs and wiping windows and all those pieces. So, that's the big piece there. Floyd, who's the team leader for it here at MOD, he's very meticulous about things. And of course, Tommy, the owner of it, I think you know him, don't you, Tim? If anything's wrong, let me know. So, but again, it does cost us a little more over last year's budget. Cumulatively, when we look at Redbird and our custodials that are here during the day, but I do think it brings us to a lot better level of cleanliness and a lot better of support in taking care of our facilities.
Overall grounds.
Sir?
So overall, to me, the overall grounds around the school look better because those guys have time to go do more of that.
Yes, sir.
I've heard good things.
I'm glad to hear it. So, again, if you hear anything that's negative, let me know. And if you hear from somebody else, make sure their principals know and they know to push it up the chain so that we can get it fixed. Because ultimately, we know we're spending a lot of money with them. But at the same time, we expect a very good set of buildings.
That's the main thing, pushing the information up the chain if needed.
Make a recommendation to.
All right, we'll make sure there wasn't anything else. Do I have a motion to approve the custodial services with Redbird Cleaning?
Make that motion.
Motion, have a second?
I'll say.
Second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Yes. Consider and approve auctioneerexpress.com to organize and hold an online auction for the dispersal of surplus district equipment.
Hey, Tommy ended up getting two groups for us that would be able to help us with this piece, and basically just a little bit. We've got quite a bit of ag equipment with our jet grant that we just bought in. That's surplus equipment now that we need to get rid of, and we need to disperse it. And we need to do it in such a way that's equitable to everybody. But we also have some other things around here that need to be gotten rid of. We got two old buses that honestly need to go away. The MD2 and MD1, is that right, Tommy?
Yeah, MD1 and 2.
And if we can get rid of MD1 through this, I'll be shocked, to be honest with you. And I'm just saying that because there's a tree growing up through the fender. It's over in New Boston.
Oh, okay.
It's not on site here. But it does give us a chance to get rid of some things. We don't have a lot of storage in the district, and being able to get rid of some of this property that it's been used up here, it's been written off the books basically, it's completely run its cycle. But it's still some things that can be beneficial to the district, somebody, and the district can benefit from the revenues generated by it. And so we had two proposals. One was out of Dallas, is that right? Fort Worth. And I think that's the one that we'd used before. The feedback Tommy got from Pam was it was okay. There was some kind of scuttle, back and forth. It could have been better, some things. The piece that we worried about was being from Fort Worth, getting an audience to follow them this far and bid on materials might be a problem. The one that we're bringing to the board tonight, Auctioneer Express, is a group that Tommy has used before. Said he had really good coverage there. They're out of Mount Pleasant, and so they're much more local. We feel like they'll give a better following for this area and probably get us a better chance for competitive bidding on the material that we're trying to put up for auction.
their percentage?
Or 10% on,
But at 10% on, I think it's in what's in your package.
On the buyers premium, man. 10% on buyers.
No,
Or is 10%
that's on our side.
Well, they charge both ways.
Yes.
So it's 20% total.
No, it doesn't go to the buyer.
This is commission to us. Theirs is only commission to us. Buyer pays what the bid is.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
So kind of, we felt like that would also give the buyer a little bit more comfort in, hey, it's
Oh, yes.
a $500
Exactly.
merchandise, I don't have to bid up on that, consider it piece as well. And then, honestly, looking at the two of them, one of them was charged to the buyer, one was charged to the seller, and we felt like this one just brought more value to it. And honestly, when you go to the sale barn, I know what I'm bidding on, I know what I bought when I walk out, and this follows something very similar to what we're used to seeing.
Yep, exactly. Very few of them like that anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other questions or
What is
discussion?
10% on anything over 1,000? I don't have a copy.
I'd have to dig into it again, Tommy. 15% up to 500 and 10% 500 above.
Okay.
But again, we felt like that was a nominal fee for, one, getting things out of the district that we need out of the district.
Yeah.
And then two, if we can get some competitive bids, one or two competitive bids takes care of that difference.
Any other questions or discussion? Do you have a motion to approve Auctioneer Express to organize and hold online auction for dispersable surplus district equipment? Motion by Rusty. Second by Josh, sorry. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Better bring those. Consider, item 15, consider and possible approval to purchase a Suburban from J.P. Harvey Motors for $59,767.55.
Okay, board, this is one that we budgeted into last year's. We put, was it 50,000 in last year, Tommy, on the initial side? One of those budget amendments was to complete the rest of this piece here. And we purposely held off till late in the year because I wanted to see where we fail. I didn't want to come in with we're either going to be to the line on revenues versus expenditures. I knew we had a big piece with the roof over at the high school, trying to make sure we got that taken care of. And after working through those pieces there, Tommy said, we're still got a good enough surplus. I would recommend if we're going to do it, let's do it this year. Put it in and let's move forward. So I told Tommy, I said, go ahead and run this through our tips vendors in the area. And I want a Suburban. I think that's one of the best vehicles for schools. You can carry 8 kids in that, 8 total passengers, and they hold up well and they run forever. And so he put that out to, did you say all the tips vendors in Texas?
All the tips vendors in Texas, there's only 5.
Yeah, no logo? Really?
No, there are none of the Chevrolet dealers in Bowie County are tips vendors.
Really?
Really the only 2 close to us is J.P. Harvey that is in Clarksville, and then Sandlin over at Mount Pleasant. And Sandlin didn't even bother to send us a proposal.
Really?
I thought surely the dealer at Parrish would be a tips vendor, but they are not either. The one at the Marshall, and then Peters at Longview. Marshall is one, they didn't send me a quote either. They're one of the ones that didn't send anything back. Peters at Longview, the tips vendor. And then this Lake Country, they show them tips to be down at Silsbee, but I think this location is someplace else. But those are the only Chevrolet dealers. If you're going to buy a Suburban and you're going to buy it through tips, and you're going to buy it in Texas, it's those 5. That's it.
So are we adding to the fleet or replacing something?
It's adding to it for right now, which would give us an extra vehicle, because there are days that Miss Holly's, she's holding this one and holding this one and, trying to make sure we get it all together, get kids moving around. It's bad during football season, but it gets really rough when we get to the spring with baseball, softball, and track and all those pieces there. So that gives us one to add to it. And then, told Tommy, I said, in a year or 2, whatever that looks like from now, depending on budgets and where it falls, we can come back and add one more. And at that point, we'd start phasing that Expedition would be the first to go. It's over 200. It's right at 200,000 right now. we are gonna keep the old Suburban, because we're letting Sean use it to move stuff around, keep, all the materials in it. Basically, it's Stinky Feet, the one that the coaches have used forever. And so, actually, Coach Turner gets a different look, gets a different Stinky Feet now. And so, a little upgrade for him. But, but it does give us a chance to move kids a little bit more easily during the big ticket items, but start to knock some age off the fleet.
Is there any financial benefit to the school for using tips?
We do get is it 1% back?
Yeah, 1%.
And so we get a kickback at the end of the year on that. So every time we use tips, we get a percentage back.
Well, the greater benefit to using tips is the bid process. They've already approved all the vendors, and you can just get quotes from those vendors. If you go outside tips vendors, then we're gonna have to advertise it for bids or go out for bids in some form or fashion. You can't just take it from other dealers.
Is there a dollar amount that requires that or not?
I'm sorry, sir.
Is there a dollar amount that requires us to take it out to bids, or we don't have to, or
50,000.
Okay. This would be more than that.
Unfortunately, it's over 50.
What ain't?
But again, I mean, of course, the tip rebate obviously is an advantage. Of course, we could buy the vehicle 1% cheaper if we weren't going through tips as well. But then the advantage to us also is not having to deal with the bid process.
Don't have to put out, hold it.
Well, if
let
you
it
price
sit.
Suburbans lately, that's not a bad price. I went and looked at one that was 96, so.
Even with cloth seats, it's not a bad price.
Well, this one doesn't have gold handles on it.
Yeah.
And it's white. That's
Yeah.
I want to be clear that it's a white one.
It's got a bow tie on the front.
Any other questions?
Anybody, anything else? We have a motion to approve the purchase of Suburban from J.K. Harvey Motors for $59,767.55.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Terry, you have a second? Second by Josh. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Superintendent's report.
Okay, so you heard from our principals a little bit. I'm gonna kick out just a second, Coach. I appreciate you jumping back over.
Sure. Let's go.
Anything you want to add on athletic director stuff?
Volleyball teams,
Did they smoke everybody?
I think they're 12-6 on the year. Is that right? I think they were 11-6 before this game. They were 12-6 today. They won 3 tonight. They got them another tournament going on this weekend in Hooks. JV volleyball's got a tournament in Ore City on Friday. Football's got their first game Friday, and Hawkins junior high football has a scrimmage next Tuesday at home. Their first home opener for the youngins. And cross country, the girls cross country team ran. Some of the girls cross country team. It's kind of tough right now with everything kind of going on. Ran at Avery this last weekend, this last Saturday. Athletic fundraiser's over with. I think we raised a little over between $5,000 and $7,000 for. I got to remember what actually percent he takes from the website or whatever, but a decent little fundraiser for us. Other than that, just the beginning of the year. Anybody got any questions?
That volleyball team got second at the Redwater District.
They got second at the Redwater
Who did they
tournament,
beat?
and they played in the third place game at the North Hopkins tournament, and actually got beat by Bottom, which is a 4A school, and somebody else. And I think they're feeling pretty good about this this Hooks tournament. A lot of the same teams that were in the Redwater tournament, so feel good where we're at right there, and need to stay healthy.
They were fun to watch.
That's what we really need to do.
Thank you. And also, just update, you've heard both principals talking about their PLCs and working with their staff. But I've met with both principals to date on their academic goals for next year. So we'll be bringing those back to the board in September as a recommendation to look at the progress, the goals that we want to set for the year academically, where we're trying to go. And so, all the principals' goals have been at the meets standard or better. which, you know, STAR comes back to you. What you're used to seeing from STAR from state is the approaches measure, which is passing by the state. But again, that doesn't mean the kids got the complete curriculum. And so at the meet standard and above, that's where kids are considered to have learned the entire curriculum for that year. So both principals have set their goals. First round passes for that, we'll clean those up and bring those back to y'all for the next meeting for a recommendation for approval. And then they'll set their calendars for the year for how they'll report those pieces out to you all year long. And so you'll have a year-long report on academic access or academic updates by month for the campuses as we move forward. And so the ultimate goal of this is by setting goals on the meets, we're going to pull the whole program stronger and make even better results for our kids and for our district. And ultimately, at the end of that is going to be, we're going to have better prepared kids when they graduate to go out to either go to college or the workforce or whatever they're going to do. They're going to be more prepared academically. So that's the whole piece there. So safety and security, just a piece of, I touched on this last time, but just we have completed our emergency operation plans for the year. We have had our meetings in the fall, the spring of 2024, summer, and we also had our security walkthrough with our first responders, so that piece is all done. We are in the process of uploading right now to Sentinel, and that's the new TEA version of the safety security stuff for the state. And so each year, or every 3 years, we have to do a safety security audit with the school safety center, but we self-report on that. And so with the Sentinel version of it, this is what's coming out of the Uvalde as well. TEA's got their own version of this now. And so we have to upload into Sentinel all the safety pieces that are there. And then we have the TEA people come out and evaluate the program. So it's not a self-report, it's a evaluation by outside people. And so if you've been around a while, you may remember the old deck visits that we had a long time ago in school, where the state would come out and they'd send a team and they'd evaluate everything in the district for like a week. And it was huge. And so we won't be quite a week long, but we'll probably have a day or two where they'll be here and they'll evaluate all of our documents, they'll interview staff. I've been told the nurse is going to be one of the ones that gets hit the hardest. And so I got to prep Nisi for that one. But you know, all those pieces there for moving forward. And Bloomberg talked to superintendent over there, and he sent me his report that they uploaded, and it was about 80 pages of information that was just the state. So we've started loading ours now, and so ours comes due in October. And so next time we meet, that should be completely loaded out in preparation for that meeting there. So all in all, I think we're going to look pretty good across the board. You know, Joe and I have been looking at several places and making sure that we're continuing to be ahead of the curve. And so I think we're going to fare in good shape there. Letter C is the AF academic rating. We don't have an academic rating because I think it went to trial yesterday. Is that right? Went to hearing. And so some big districts around the state have sued TEA again on the A/F academic rating. I did not recommend that to this board, mainly because I couldn't see spending money to let an attorney do something like that. And so, but anyway, they're going to be tied up in litigation for the A/F piece for quite some time, I expect. With it being a legislative year and a biennium, there's a good chance this could rock on all the way through May. And we may be just like last year, finishing the school year before we even come up with ratings, or as the year before, we're just going to dismiss ratings. So I think that's probably the real play, but the rest of it is your guess and my guess. So we did get our preliminary first ratings from the state, and just as we expected, we're going to be set for a C next year. That'll be released in November. And so, and that's because of the audit findings of the material weaknesses, is that what she called it? Although I still disagree with that piece, but it doesn't do you any good to argue it. But that piece has been taken care of. It's corrected, and the last time we visited with Leslie, it was all good. And so she did come out in March, correct? And just did a mid-year piece and had nothing but raving things to say. So correct it and move on, expecting A ratings from now on. It's one of those, we knew it was gonna happen, just never makes you feel good when it happens. And then the last piece in here,
Must be a very report card day while I was in school. Knew it was gonna happen, but it made me feel
board member training, it says new board member training. Probably the best way of looking at this is gonna be in your board book, because it is hyperlinked in and all those pieces there, so there's different training. Ms. Holly, we're up for ISO as a group, is that right? And so if you'll go ahead and look at your calendars, 12/5, that's the Region 8 one, that's the big one. And they will feed us much better at that one, Tim and Josh, than the last time.
Gotta be better.
And so, well, they got Hot Pockets.
Score.
Talking about steak all the way down there.
I did, I was talking about steak all the way there, and we got there and Josh was like, I don't see no steak. And so, actually, I got there in the parking lot, it wasn't packed, and I was like, holy cow, I hope I didn't pull these guys out and got the wrong night. But we got through that.
Nobody showed up for Hot Pocket.
But if we all show up for that one, we also get the team of 8 credit as well. And so, and then April 10th is another one that we can also get full team. Wait, Ms. Holly.
Also the school safety training, every 2 years, so the board members, it's time for that again, where you go through the TEA side of things.
That's through the teal. So in your board book, or I can send this to you, just an email, so you can click it. It's designed for that piece right there. Get your safety training.
That'd be great.
Knock that out. So resend it.
Yeah, and then just click it.
That's the one we
Josh,
just do online.
Yeah, you do it online.
Holy cow, good luck, y'all.
Did it not work for you?
Oh, it worked. All 10 hours of it worked great. It wasn't that long, but it was.
I wouldn't gonna tell the rest of you to do it.
He's gonna fail.
So, but those are pieces there. So if you mark your calendars though for 12/5, and then kind of keep April 10th open as well, that's a good opportunity for us to get Team of 8 training as well. Keep y'all up to date on things that are coming up.
So we normally go to these.
Sir?
I think we've been.
Yeah, we
every year
went last
now.
year. Yeah. And then we had, I think, 5 in April last year. So,
We ate their steak too.
Mr. President, that's all I got for.
I was getting that date marked. I'll mark it later. All right, we're going into executive session at this time. We're going to executive session at 8:13 a.m. Discuss personnel according to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussion of personnel. Executive. We are coming back into open session at 8:50 p.m. Next item on the agenda is adjourn. Do we have a motion?
I made it.
Have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll say.
A second. All in favor, raise your right hand. There's your. Thank you.